Hey guys, welcome back to The Musical. My name is Cole, and today we're going to talk about a really fun, kind of poppy, post-punk revival album from 2003, which is Logic Will Break Your Heart by The Stills. And man, this got some airplay back in my college days. It's a lot of fun. So I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys. Let's dive in with track number 1, which is called Lola, Stars and Stripes. So I like this song because it sounds like these two people are aware of the fact that even though they grew up in a middle-class background and probably had good parents and good schooling and things like that, that's not guaranteed for the rest of their life, right? Maybe they're just not smart enough. Maybe they don't have the ambition or the motivation to either remain in the middle class or to, become upper class people. So it sounds like they're both well aware of the fact that they got to cherish the good things in their life right now, because it's never guaranteed to last forever, right? And it's possible that neither of them really have the capability to remain in the middle class or do better. So I just like the fact that this song, it makes you think about your own life. It makes you think about all of the wonderful things that you enjoy in your life at the current moment, and how any of it could disappear at any time if you stop putting in the work, right? If you stop appreciating your friends, or if you stop doing a good job at work, you're always in danger of falling out of your comfort zone, so to speak. So that's what this song makes me think of. I'm sure it's about other things too, but I appreciate it makes me think of that, and it makes me appreciate where I am. So anyway, let's move along to track number 2, which is called Gender Bombs.
Brains on a brick wall when gender bombs will fall. The sordid way loaded phrases infiltrate your skull.
So this is kind of an odd song. I've always thought of it as being about somebody who, is gender fluid maybe, or maybe they're just gay. They could be transsexual, something like that, where basically their life sucks, right? Because most people are pretty mean to people like that, especially if you grow up in a small town where, you know, there are especially a lot of religious people who view it as a sin, for example. So it sounds like this is about at least one character in that community who's having, as he puts it, massive suicide dreams. So he's just constantly tempted to just take the easy way out, so to speak, and end their life instead of putting up with decades of harassment and sorrow and misery and feeling like they don't belong and feeling like there's something wrong with them, right? Because the worst part about it, or at least one of the worst things about it, in my opinion, is that feeling that you don't belong, that you shouldn't exist, that your state of mind is false, that you should be ashamed of yourself, right? Imagine acting in a way that you feel is normal, and yet everyone's telling you should be ashamed of being that way. I mean, that's got to be quite the psychological hit for anybody to just, you know, try to go through life with the idea in the back of your mind that everyone thinks that you're doing it wrong. So anyway, this poor person, they're clearly very suicidal, and they're just almost there, but they're kind of pulling through just barely. So I feel for this person. But anyway, let's move along to track 3, which is called Changes Are No Good.
I wear the smile, I wear the laugh. I'm in the backstage changing heads. I am a weekday on weekends. I hate my best friends. Spoken, choked up, broke my notes. This heart drones as I try to act adult, but like a Walkman falls to pieces, all parts know how. See me change, changes are no good. See me change, changes are no good. See me change.
Yeah, this guy on this song, it sounds like he knows that he has to become an adult, that he can't, you know, have this teenager mentality anymore where he can do whatever he wants to do and get high all the time and, you know, not really have a lot of responsibilities. It sounds like he is finally realizing that he's got to change, but changes are no good. He doesn't want to do it, but he has to do it, you know, and it sounds like all of his friends have already moved on and transitioned from teenage mentality to, you know, late 20s or early 30s adult mentality. And so he's being left behind, right, emotionally and mentally. And he's trying to catch up. But as he puts it, it's all heart, or all parts and no heart. So he wears the smile, he wears the laugh, as he puts it. He tries to become an adult, but he just doesn't have the motivation really to do it. He doesn't really have the skill set or the drive to do it, you know. So he's in this weird limbo state where, you know, all of his friends are becoming adults and he's just left behind with this young, you know, adolescent mentality is what it sounds like. So he really needs some help trying to figure out how to grow up and become a real member of society. So that's what this song makes me think of, is someone struggling to enter adulthood, which I can understand. But anyway, so let's move along to track 4, which is called Love and Death.
I'll make my own way, I make my own way. Don't bother counting on me, loving me, just act like I'm gone. Oh, this sorry joke, a joke, it's all we really need. There's
Yeah, I absolutely love this song. I think it's the best song on the album. It's such a killer hook. And, I imagine it's the same character from our previous song who has fallen in love with some girl. But as we mentioned, he hasn't really been able to grow up and be a responsible adult. His life, as he puts it, is just kind of a waste of time because he says, I'm just so bored of wasting my time. So he kind of knows that he's not really getting anywhere. And all of his friends are moving on and getting married and having kids. And, maybe he's got this girlfriend for the moment, but she's going to start to catch on that he's not really improving himself and getting a career and things like that. He's just kind of stuck in loner mode and an almost adolescent kind of mentality. So his girlfriend, who he loves, who he's spent, maybe months or a year with, has moved on because she's realized this is not a guy who's going to become a dad, who's going to become a father, and, become a responsible adult that I can depend on. So this poor guy, he's just incapable for whatever reason of either finding the courage or learning how to grow up. So I can understand that. We've all had to face that dilemma at one point or another. But anyway, that's Love and Death. Great, great song. Let's move on to track number 5, which is called Of Montreal.
Falling free on, it's turning me on. It drips on the street. The sun cries from the heat. I love feeling beat. Kiss the lipstick on your teeth. Friends getting old. We all dig for gold. The crumbs and pieces. A dead mouse in the sink. A turning me on, a turning me.
So this is kind of a bizarre song. It's really kind of poetic, I imagine, though, it's about the same character who is desperately trying to remember the good times in his life because, as we've mentioned, he's becoming an adult, very slowly but surely, and he's getting kind of bored with life. His friends are getting old and having kids and having a family, and they're kind of moving on from him, right? They're probably not hanging out with him as much. So he's kind of left to his own devices. He's kind of bored all the time. It sounds like the fun has been stripped from his life, more or less. And so he's, on this song, he's going back into his mind. He's reliving wonderful memories of his past and thinking about the city he lives in. And, he's just desperately trying to find some sort of happiness in his life. So he's just reaching back into his past and remembering all of the funny things and the cool things and the momentary things that happened in his life that really brought him joy. Even if it's something wild and weird like finding a dead mouse in a sink, just anything kind of different or exciting that doesn't really happen to him anymore, right? It sounds like his life is just really boring now. So he's just reliving all of his old memories in order to try and feel better. So this poor guy, he's kind of in limbo, is what it sounds like. His life is not very exciting anymore. So he's reliving his memories, as we all kind of do from now and then. But anyway, let's move along to track number 6, which is called Ready for It.
There was an hour ago. Don't say
Yeah, this character, I mean, I don't know what his deal is, but, the days keep drifting by really quickly. Each day is kind of blending into the next. And it sounds like he is just really far away from becoming the adult that he knows he has to be at some point, because he's talking about meeting up with somebody and just, constantly being late. He's like, oh, I'll be there in a second. Oh, I'll be there in a minute. And then an hour goes by and he's still not there. So this guy's totally not dependable whatsoever, right? So not only is he kind of unmotivated and doesn't really want to change his kind of adolescent ways, his adolescent mental ways, he's also just not the best friend, really. He's somebody who constantly shows up late and doesn't really say what he means. He probably isn't the best listener if one of his friends is having trouble and wants to vent. He probably isn't a great listener. It just sounds like he's not making much of an effort to really improve himself, and it sounds like his friends, on top of the fact that, as we've mentioned, they're just, they're getting married and they're having kids. It sounds like they've recognized this guy who might have been a good friend in high school is no longer, well, not necessarily no longer. He's never really been the greatest friend, really. He's trouble, right? He's not really dependable, and it sounds like he's not a good influence. So he's kind of getting dropped by his friends, is what I imagine is going on. He's testing the patience of the few friends he has left, and it sounds like they'll probably drop him soon enough. So anyway, this guy needs to figure something out because he's losing it. But anyway, let's move along to track number 7, which is called Let's Roll. So our hero is kind of puzzling to me because, he doesn't want to grow up. He doesn't want to face the fact that he's not getting any younger, that he needs to start thinking about his career and about settling down and things like that. He's worried about all of that, but at the same time, he's the type of guy to say, let's roll, don't be afraid of what might happen. Let's just do something wild and crazy and spontaneous and live life, right? So he has this weird kind of competing mentality of I don't want to grow up and I'm afraid to grow up, but at the same time, I'm somebody who's not afraid to do spontaneous, dangerous things that are kind of out of the ordinary, right? He's lie down on the runway with me and let's watch the planes go by, which is a really scary thought and obviously not something adults tend to do. So this guy, he's just, I guess he wants to live life fast and loose. He doesn't want to be burdened by responsibility, but he likes excitement. He likes a little bit of danger, So I guess in some sense, you can admire the fact that here's a guy who isn't going to live a boring life, even though, as we've discussed, all of his friends are kind of leaving him because they're all settling down and they don't want to be with a guy who is a little bit loose and dangerous and rebellious and, just a little too young at heart. So it's kind of a strange situation with this guy where he's very courageous for certain things, but not for growing up. So anyway, It's kind of an interesting song. But let's move along to the last clip of the album that I want to talk about from track 9. It's called Animals and Insects.
I stumble out of a nightclub thinking animals and insects don't do drugs. I think I'll go out and act like I'm celibate and jingle bells in a Christmas choir.
So I'm not convinced this song is about the same character, because our previous character, it sounds like, you know, he smokes a lot of pot, but this guy, he's stumbling out of the nightclub and he's like, animals and insects don't do drugs. You know, I think I'm gonna go and act like I'm celibate. So what that means to me is, here's a guy who is getting turned down by women for various reasons that he deems to be kind of stupid, right? Like maybe he met some really cute girl who likes taking drugs, and because he doesn't like doing drugs, the girl is not interested. So he's just thinking like, well, animals and insects don't do drugs, and you know, they mate together all the time, and that's never a factor there. So he's frustrated. He's sexually frustrated because there's always one reason or another why women don't want to be with this guy. You know, maybe he doesn't have enough muscles, or he doesn't make enough money, or he's not tall enough, or as we mentioned, he doesn't do drugs and she likes to do drugs, or whatever it is. So this guy is just frustrated. He's like, I'm just gonna act like I don't even want sex because I can't get it anyway, right? He's just very frustrated. And as he says, you know, he's gonna bring the heavens down screaming with him, because he just, he can't do anything right, and he wants to bring the world down. If he can't have his way, then nobody can have their way. It's kind of how he's thinking at the moment. He's feeling very, very down. You know, I can identify with this guy, because there have been several moments in my life where I've been turned down, and it's because of one reason or another, which at the time felt kind of superficial. Like, I remember one of the girls who turned me down was like, you know, I kind of like men with muscles, you know, or I kind of like men who are taller than me, or, you know, things like that. So I can identify with this guy's frustration in that, you know, there's always something he's not doing or that he is doing that's causing women to not be into him. So anyway, that's what the song makes me think of. But yeah, so that's the album, you guys. It's a very fun, very poppy, post-punk revival kind of album. You know, it's very energetic and catchy. It's a little samey, but that's okay. You know, I would say Love and Death is probably the best song. But anyway, I hope you thought it was interesting. I hope you enjoy it. You know, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. But yeah, that's the Stills. Check them out and have a good one.